Well, hello and welcome to the Just Jim radio show. We're so very grateful to be here with you and you with us on another day in life for each and all of us. Here at the Just Jim radio show, we are here to bring you inspiration, information, ideas, concepts, a little bit of fun to make a difference in your life, to maybe open a door or a window to see a little better or find your way a little easier. Just Jim comes from me being Reverend Jim at Sarasota Center of Light, and people keep asking me, what should I call you? And I said, Just Jim. And so it stuck, and I decided to name the radio show that because it's really about practical spirituality, about inspiration, about making a difference. And so it's about being in the real world and dealing with what's going on. And there's a lot going on right now, isn't there? Myself, I've been for decades helping people find their truth, find their purpose, make their way, help them through situations. Here, it's just an opportunity to have some fun and enjoy ourselves together. We do that through different formats, discussions, interviews, interactions with single people or groups. Just depends on the day. Today, I'll be talking about the releasing of the bondage of self. Well, it sounds like a bit of a sophisticated topic, and yet it really is about letting go and being you. Not the you that you're holding on to, or not that which you believe you need to be, but getting a chance to be able to recognize that you have created the life that you're living and the who that you are, and be able to take another look. And right now, with all that's been going on, is going on, and will go on with the transitions that we're going through individually and in our communities, in our countries, in the world, it's an opportune time for us to take another look, to get a different view of what might be holding us down, holding us back, keeping us from being able to be everything we are. And take responsibility. That's a tough one. Personal responsibility. That's a topic that could be a whole nother show, because right now there's a whole lot of people responsible for a whole lot of things, people pointing fingers and saying how it should be and so on and so forth. But we can only really deal with what's going on with ourselves. You know, we can only be responsible personally for our thoughts, our decisions, our actions, our feelings. And it's our spirit, or our inner knowing, our being, that determines that. And during this time, with all the changes that are going on, it's a great chance to take a look, to stop, look, and listen, as I say. To stop, which we all have had a chance to do, and maybe a little bit busy trying to get things going again, but to look within and to listen to our own self. And what are we saying? What are you saying to yourself about your life right now? I mean, have you stopped long enough in the merry-go-round to get off of it and say, hey, what's going on? How do I want it to be? Or are you in your habits and patterns and cycles? So this personal responsibility isn't just what you've committed to or obligated to. Sometimes we take on a job and we certainly commit to something like that, or a relationship and we commit to something like that. Those are obligations that we're there to fulfill. But personal responsibility is our ability to respond. And if we have wrapped around ourselves all kinds of ideas of how the world is, how our life is, how we are, then that's what's going to govern who we choose to be. Because it's almost like filters we have to move through or work through in the way that we talk or act or interact or express or experience ourselves. And the thing that's interesting is, back to the personal part, we're the ones that put them there. So it sounds simple. Gary Zukav, an author I like very much, says, what is behind your eyes holds more power than what is in front of them. Meaning, taking that time to look within and listen not to everything else and everybody else and all of what every agency, organization is saying, but what you're saying from within that really matters. And to allow yourself to sort of let go. I mean, it's like in this area, this is Florida, it's like wearing, layered clothing and say, hold it a minute, something doesn't seem right here. I feel like I'm carrying around a lot, or I feel like I'm wrapped up in, or I feel pressure or tension or stress in my life. Oh, it's those layers, that can be released and let go. What you can do is, for a moment, imagine that you were born into a different experience of yourself. Let's say you emerged into a world where you were just this big, beautiful ball of light and energy, and you were just shining like a star, in the night sky. Your purpose was to shine like a star in the night sky, to share your presence, your energy, your light, your being in the heavens, not only for you to see, but also for others to share your light with them, and for the light of life, as you would know it and choose to be, would be as simple as that. Well, that may sound like a bit of an etheric fairy tale, but stop for a minute and think about what is the core of who you are, and what is the self that you've wrapped around it. Because no matter how you describe how you see yourself, how you decide you are as your soul or your spirit or your reason for being here, you've created that, and you've wrapped it around yourself, so to speak, in the way that you believe you are, this image you portray in the world every day. And with this time of so many things coming apart at the seams and so many things bombarding us and shaking loose what has been going on, we can begin to take off some of those layers. That's really, really important, to be able to create the freedom that allows us to be able to experience the fulfillment we really seek. Because if we have something wrapped around us, our I'm calling it bondage of self, call it the image you portray, call it your persona, call it whatever you want to call it that makes you feel comfortable, looking for a title that might catch your eye or your ear enough to take a look. It's a matter of recognizing that the truth that will set us free is found behind the layers of perception, these layers of our personality or persona or image that we've created. And what do you want to show up as? And not so much, again, let's not talk about first, what do we want to show up as for everybody else? How do you want to show up in your life? How do you want to be? And what do you want to experience? We all have the opportunity to decide. We have free will. We have the opportunity to set ourselves free if we choose to. I like to liken the idea of self, at least with the small s, the part of us that's that earthly kind of experience of ourselves, this persona we're making our way through our life with every day. I liken it also to a cell we have created, this sort of prison we've decided to not only hide behind as the portrayal of who we are, sometimes, not for everybody, obviously. And we'll frequently close that door and lock it, lock that, turn that key. The thing that's interesting about that scenario is we have the key. We can open that door. We can break down the cell walls. We can allow ourselves to turn to that place where we can find the truth that can set us free. The key is our inner knowing, our inner guidance that intuition or inspiration that comes from not our mind and our thoughts and our beliefs and our understandings. We all have those, each of them different. And in our inner knowings and belief, our guidances are going to come from a different place depending on what we believe or understand to be true, our faith, so to speak. And yet, that is where everything emerges from. So, if we're talking about our perception and our persona being clothes that we wear, how do we want to show up? What garments do we want to put on, and what do we want to take off? We have you look at the spiritual principles or spiritual laws, or the truth of the capital T. There's the law of freedom. We have the free will and the power of choice to be, as I spoke about earlier, responsible for the choices we make. And as we all know, our future or our lack of future is determined by the choices we do make, the thoughts we have, the feelings we have, the decisions, and then therefore our actions and interactions create our life. And so we have this opportunity not only to be responsible for ourselves, but even more importantly, or as importantly right now, as we recognize our choices as an individual, it's important to respect the choices of others. So now we're starting to venture out from what's wrapped around us and how that shows up in the world. Am I going to wear a hat today? Am I going to wear sneakers or dress shoes or shorts, or am I going to wear a suit? How am I going to look? Who am I going to be? How am I going to show up? And how am I going to feel as I'm doing that? I know that most of us will say, well, I'm just doing the best I can with what I've got. I like to think that every day that we get up, if we really take the time to take a look and say, who am I? Who am I? Well, the beauty of the answer to that question is the same words in a different order, changing it to who I am. Meaning that I make the decision. When I walk in the closet, am I going to grab my suit? Am I going to grab a t-shirt and jeans? Am I going to grab flip-flops or sneakers? How am I going to show up today? And I know you don't just go out and change a relationship or change a job or change the things like that are going on in your life. You can't change your family, as they say. Right? You can change the way you see them, the way you show up with them. You can change how you interact as a result of who you believe you are and how you believe it needs to be. Gary Zukav wrote Seed of the Soul, and in that book, he talks about sometimes our perceptions of ourselves get so, let's call it dark or difficult, that we're looking through the world through dark, gruesome sunglasses, is the term that he uses. You've heard of that. You've heard of rose-colored lenses. Our perception is what we look through at the world and how we see it. And when we're looking in the mirror, how we see ourselves. In fact, I find it very interesting to realize that we cannot see in someone else or something else something that isn't within us. We have to be looking through our perception to see it outside ourselves, or if we're looking in the mirror, in ourselves. So are we putting on